Yes, aesthetic value. I mean, this is something in the Constitution. We've been unable to achieve it.
Trevor, the two-thirds gender rule is not in the Constitution by happenstance.
Yeah.
It is in the Constitution by design and choice by the Kenyan people. And the architecture of the Constitution contemplated that we, the people, sitting as citizens of this country, crafting a constitution for ourselves, moving forward, determined that we shall be governed within a system where gender would be respected. And that is why there was a deliberate inclusion of Article 81B of the Constitution. The gender principle contemplates that not only in elective offices, but also in appointive offices shall we have a representation of at least 1/3.
Yeah.
In appointive offices, you will find, speaking for the judiciary, for instance, that we have a 50% threshold. Women in the judiciary serving, I think, outweigh men now. We have almost 54 to 48. It's a balance. That is because it's appointive, and you can make choice. However, the same Constitution at Article 38 speaks to the question of choice and the question of universal suffrage and the freedom to exercise political power.
Yeah.
Because political power is achieved through an election. It is not given. Unless the framers of the Constitution had gone the way, for instance, of South Africa, where you had mixed member proportions, where you have party lists. In South Africa, for instance, you have party lists, where you have parties and names. And once a party wins an election, then it has names that shall be presented, female, male. You cannot have a constitution that gives and at the same time takes away.
Yeah.
And that is why I oppose the circular by Chebukati. That circular is outrightly unconstitutional. It violates Article 38.2, 38.3, the principles of universal suffrage, and also clearly the obligation of IBC under Article 81A and D, and the obligation of political parties under Article 91A and D, because political parties are also enjoined to exercise democracy in making a choice for who goes to power. Remember, Trevor, political parties are not in the exercise of meeting gender rules. Political parties are in the business of winning elections.
Yeah.
And that is why Justice Anthony Ndung'u yesterday stayed this circular. This circular was unconstitutional. When it came out, I wrote to Chebukati, who is my client, and I spoke to him. I told him, Chairman, what you're doing is unconstitutional. I also spoke to Mr. Weir, the legal director. I told him, legal director, he was my student, by the way. This circular is unconstitutional. Advise the commission not to go this way. The two-thirds gender rule under Article 81B is only required to be met after an election and applies to 349 members of parliament, and not to the 289 that they were seeking to apply them to. Remember, in parliament, you have the 290 elected, then you have 47 women reps nominated, and another 12 nominated to satisfy the youth quota and the other gender quota. Remember, therefore, that the two-thirds should include all the 349 and not the selective 290 to which Chebukati was trying to subject political parties. Secondly, in the Senate, Article 81B, right together with Article 98, addresses itself to the entire 67 members of Senate, not to the 47 elected members. Again, that Chebukati was trying to subject political parties to. So the entire framework was wrong, because then it violates Article 27.3 of the Constitution. And you cannot therefore enforce principles that violate the very Constitution that sets you up as IBC. Remember, Chebukati and his team of commissioners cannot stop the election as they purported to say, the secular. It's unconstitutional. You cannot do that.
Okay.
So this was just a wrong start and a wrong move. They should have simply sought political advice. Remember, the case that they were basing their administrative, because they said this administrative guidance on, petition number 17 of 2019, is itself on appeal in the Court of Appeal. So why are you subjecting matters that are sub judice to a framework and telling political parties comply? And therefore, most political parties, and I'll tell you this for my political party, they said they would comply by simply getting constituencies where they know they would not win, and then putting candidates, which does not make sense. Because gender, the answer to the gender question is this: we must have a real response. The real response lies in legislation, not in some framework that is simply trying to give women positions. Yet we know that those positions are also protected by the Constitution. There are positions that require competition. You cannot through some give some platitudes, as it were, to women. Women must be treated seriously. You put the law and make sure that you treat them seriously. Remember, in Senate, we have all 16 nominated members. From the 47, we have 16 and 4. So you have a 20 gap. Beyond the 16, you have another 20, elected 47, another 20. And you can ensure that all of them are women anyway, 16 plus the 4.
Manzo, you know, Professor here is a walking constitution. But let's talk about the ground now. You see, on one side, there's Martha Karua, Sabina Chege, Charity Gill. On the other side, there's Waiguru, there's Wahome. Why can't they front runners pick from these formidable women who've been in the political circles to send a statement that it is a fair, level playing field for everyone who can be a leader?
You see, first and foremost, you cannot legislate on a secret ballot how people are going to vote secretly, so that they end up voting agenda. That is a mission impossible, and it's not achievable in the law and in the Constitution. But out of this, you see, the choice you make as a political party is how to win the election. What is the use of choosing a running mate who is gender and you lose the whole election? It means the two of you are not even going to serve. So for that very particular, there will come a day when that suits the politics, or that suits the numbers. And if that happens, then it's very good. When you have a president who is male, and a deputy who is female, just like in the case of the U.S. And again, also, the choice of a running mate is so serious that it is a heartbeat away from the presidency. In the event something happens to the president, you are telling us that's the next president, as it happened in Tanzania. Therefore, I think a lot of parties have encouraged the governors, where the governor is male, the running mate is female. Where the governor is female, the running mate is man. And I think that's working on well. When it comes to appointive positions, I think this will be implemented, even those who are vetted in Parliament. And I think eventually we have many ways of achieving the 1/3 gender. Already the Chief Justice of the country is female. So it means if you have a president who is male and a deputy who is male, still the Chief Justice, you still meet the third gender rule. And if you have if you have a president who is male, a deputy who is male, and a speaker who is female, and I believe this time around the speaker for the first time in the history should be female. The most suited candidate is Martha Karua. So if you look at it, in the Azimio case, in the Azimio Oka case, so if you look at it, we are still going to get the 1/3 gender rule from the top. And I believe a lot of parties have been forced to do this by IBC, and what they have done is what the Professor has alluded to. Just gone to where you are not likely to achieve anything and put people there. In Makueni, we are done very well as a wiper, because we have quite a number of, we have 3 ladies running for, we have 6 constituencies, and 50% of those constituencies the leading candidates are ladies, so we are likely to achieve that. So I think gender role will be achieved gradually.
Okay.
It may not be forced, but I think there should be an allowance to achieve it gradually as we educate more girls and as the nation moves into success.
Okay.
We look forward when this will be achieved.
All right, let me bring up some of the feedback and then take remarks for closing remarks from my guest on the feedback that's coming through at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag DayBreak. Let's bring that up and see what you're saying there online and see you're talking about several issues there. See the first one here. This says Sindani says the panelists seem to be more interested in a running mate who will bring more votes rather than someone who has a chemistry with the presidential candidate. This being the case, you expect a repeat of what has been happening between Uhuru and Ruto after elections. Let me get quick remarks on that. Is the chemistry the most important bit, Dan Manzo?
No, if you get the chemistry right and you lose the election, you have not achieved. You need first to win the election, then work on the chemistry.
Okay, Prof.
I think for the first time I agree with Manzo.
Yeah.
That you need the vote first. Soft skills can come thereafter because you cannot have a friend that you fall with.
Yeah.
You'd rather have an enemy that you win with. Then you solve the problem.
Then you sort yourselves out. Bobby, is that your reading as well, having been subjected to what we've seen lately? The politicians in the House are saying that you win the vote first, you will deal with chemistry, badai.
Well, it's and I think my brother Manzo and the professor Ali had spoken to this, and especially when you go back to the issue of the gender rule.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. Sometimes even in politics, and I'm sure they know this better than me, that gestures are important, and especially for leaders. So we need not tie ourselves to the technicalities of achieving certain things, and especially where our hearts and minds believe in those issues and pointing the direction that the country should be taken. And I think this is the role of leadership. I don't believe that things should be handled after you've seen the size, of the cake. You can also determine how the cake will look like and the ingredients thereof before you start baking it. And so this issue of, certain people will be able to benefit, certain quarters of this country gradually.
Yeah.
There was Swahili saying, ngoja ngoja, umiza matumbo. And I think this is what is killing our society, where certain sectors of this society are already seen to be ahead of others, while others are being told to wait until they attain certain qualifications, certain, factorial creation, so that they can benefit, politically, socially, and economically. I think the political parties, I think political leaders, and especially the two gentlemen there who are going to be on the ballot this time around, should stand out and point to Kenyans the right direction. You do not need to be beholden to technicalities. You know what the spirit of the Constitution is. And I think you should be speaking to this and pointing to where Kenyans in August 27, 2010 did, put their hearts and minds to. So I think going forward, we should be thinking of this cake, baking it, the ingredients thereof early enough, and not waiting to see where the spoils fall, and then start dividing those amongst whom we think is to be prioritized or not. I think that is a politics that unfortunately has been killing this country, and it's unfortunate when such sentiments of graduality and progression, do come from leaders who are going to be on the ballot and who have been serving, in Parliament, for a good period.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's bring up some of the feedback as well and finish up with the feedback that's coming through. Let's bring that up on screen. Charlo Woodrose says, gender rule needed to be observed in all available positions. Women have proved to be good leaders and can do much better if given the opportunity. All right. See what else. Mutavi Movie says it's now clear that Kenya Kwanza is deceiving Kenyans. They have their BBI in kind already. I assure you, with Kalonzo as running mate, Baba shall win early. Again, the conditions given to these fellas in Ruto's camp are impossible. They stand to lose, okay? Kibrono Kip says Kingi and Mutua are sitting governors. To purport that they have no numbers is just pride. The same fate awaits the disorganized Azimio as well. They pretend as if it's only the Kenya Kwanza having challenges. And to talk to Kiprono on this, you is saying that those people are sitting governors, Mutua and Kingi, and you said he can't marshal 35% of Ukambani vote. Is that a fair assessment?
Exiting governors. You see, there's a difference between city and exiting. And in fact, they are very unpopular. While they are exiting, there is all manner of troubles in Machakos County. I don't want to talk about my classmate and good friend Kingi, but in Machakos County, you have all the hospitals without electricity. You have so much trouble. You have children, guided dogs all over the place. Carry yellow jelly cans. Really, it's ridiculous. I can assure you, Mutua will not be given an opportunity in Ukambani. He cannot, not even that 5%, he cannot get 5%.
We'll give him a chance to respond when he comes here next week, of course, in the panel. Let's bring up the feedback and finish up on this, and then take closing remarks here. We say, Jonas Kamau says it seems like Ruto is assuming all Kikuyu votes are in his bag, like the Kalenjins, and not keen on entering any signed agreement with them. DP's seat ain't enough compared to Musalia's 30% in government. Tunachezwa nyumba ya Mumbi. All right, let's see. Mzalendo says, I would advise Raila to avoid making Kalonzo his running mate. Kalonzo is under the influence of hardliners and has turned out to be wrecking Azimio from within. In the event he's made running mate, we won't be shocked if he continues to create more drama for the next 3 months. Okay. Honorable Ayub Njuguna says, I tell you, picking Kalonzo is a political miscalculation. If Kalonzo brings 100% of Kamba votes, that's 1.5 million votes. If Martha Karua brings 30% of Mount Kenya votes, that's 30 by 100 times 6.5, that's 1.99 million votes, which is approximately 2 million votes. Why don't Azimio think wisely? Either way, Ruto still wins. Okay. Israel Wisdom says he comes complete with the mathematics there. If Wiper wants Raila to win, they need to tone down their demands and let Raila choose DP from Central Kenya. With the 1.7 million Kamba votes intake, Raila needs at least 35%, 2.5 votes of Central Kenya votes to win presidential election. All right, that's where we are finishing right now, but let me take closing remarks, and I'll start with Bobby. Bobby, now it's less than 90 days to the elections. What should Kenyans be putting in their mind right now as we head into the ballot? And clearly on the Daily Nation, they're saying about 15% are still undecided. Right now, it's still 42% on both sides.
Well, I think this is where the very important institution of our state, and that is the citizen, the owners of sovereignty, do need to engage their agency quite prudently. And I think as of now, and as you say, 90 days into it, Kenyans should interrogate the process quite candidly, quite keenly, with the intention of reading the purposes of the different political personalities, different political parties, interrogating the sloganeering, the messaging, and the different manifestos that we are going to be seeing coming out on the ground. Let us make sure we interrogate each and every candidate quite keenly, right from your ward representative to your member of parliament, whatever position, and ask candid questions. We have had a problem, and I think this is what Kenyans are crying about in terms of the integrity of some of the prospective candidates. This being shown clearly in terms of financing, and financing of the campaigns, where the monies are coming from, the history of some of these personalities. And I think Kenyans should be very keen beyond, receiving handouts from these personalities, very keen to find out where these monies are coming from, where these largesse and resources are coming from to finance these elections, because I think this is a very good indicator as to how and what the promises that some of these people are making are going to be delivered or not. So yes, we've had issues. It's ongoing debate whether the clearing houses, whether it's ESCC, IEBC, HELB are going to prohibit some of these candidates from running, and we know most of them are saying that because again of technicalities that they may not be able to do this. But now it comes to the Kenyan himself or herself. Article 1 comes into play, your agency, that in as much as anyone may appear on a piece of a ballot paper, that does not make him or her win automatically the position they are seeking. So it is up to Kenyans also to exercise their civic duty and responsibility and make sure you do not vote for, you do not stand for a candidate whose past is dubious, a candidate who is known to have, accumulated wealth and political largesse in ways that are doubtful. So it is also our duty as Kenyans to play our role and ensure that we do vote in men and women who are going to serve us in the effective and optimal way that ensures that there's better service delivery, that our lives and those of our children are actually improved. Just to finalize, we must remember that what we are hearing from these leaders, as the New York former governor, Mario Cuomo said, politicians will campaign in poetry, but they must lead in prose. So a lot of what we are hearing is poetry, mashairi, and we must interrogate, get to the pith of some of these lofty pronouncement and promises. Interrogate, ask how these are going to be financed.
Yeah.
And all this. So I think that's what Kenyans should be engaged in between now and August 9th, 2022.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Prof, 89 days to the polls. And Matiang'i mentioned this earlier on. He said that if Kenyans are not careful, what Bobby is referring to, that they will elect 40% of money laundering criminals into the legislative arm. First, what is your comment on what Matiang'i said? And then you give your closing remarks. 89 days to the polls. What should Kenyans keep in mind now? Let's start with the Matiang'i statement. Of more than 40% of you people are going to be elected. It says I'm money laundering criminals.
I think the choice as to who to elect Trevor is a constitutional choice clearly set out under the framework of Article 38 of the Constitution. The people of Kenya will have a free choice to elect a candidate that they think represents or espouses their ideals. The concerns as to whether they elect money launderer, I think what Matiang'i was saying, the CS was saying that be careful how you vote. Look out for some of those things in candidates that you think will represent you properly in Parliament. Do not elect people who will go into Parliament and not represent your interests. Do not elect people who have questionable things or who are shrouded in mystery. I think that is the point. I think the public or the people speak to the choice. The choice will represent what the people want. I think there are ideals about election, ideals that are lofty, and Bobby has spoken to lofty ideals that are not practical. When you get out there and you campaign, I'll tell you, Trevor, it's a different ballgame. It is not the people do not have those ideals that people in offices like Bobby have, ideals of examining things. I'm sure you've seen many professors run for office and give up in the first month because of many questions. It is not an easy thing. It is a science. Campaigning and winning an election or a nomination is a science. It's not an easy thing. I've gone through it. I speak from what I know. Yeah. So, Bobby should first know what goes into an election. He does not know what goes into an election. It is complex.
Hold on one second. Hold that thought in just a bit. We've just managed to get Simon Gikuru, the Secretary General for ANC. Let's hear what he has to say in terms of the demands put through on the Kenya Kwanza team. Then I'll come to you to finish your remarks. Simon, good morning. It's good to hear from you, and thanks for joining us on phone. There's a deal that seems to have been crafted between Kenya Kwanza, whereby the ANC party leader is supposed to garner 70% of the Western vote, him and Wetangula, and also get the prime cabinet secretary position. Are you aware of this, and can he meet those demands?
Good morning, Trevor, and good morning, everyone in the panel this morning. Well, as to the question whether I am aware, I would want to confirm that first and foremost, I'm a signatory to that coalition agreement. So you would obviously expect that we know the content of the agreement. You see, Trevor, the issue of being told to qualify your position is obviously the best thing in a situation such as this, for the reason that we didn't just want to sit and say so-and-so, this party will get this percentage of government, this other party will get this percentage of government. But we have to first make sure that we have our calculations right, so that then, when we look at the regional arithmetic and the numbers, we have done our calculations. I have had one of the panelists there talking of this thing being scientific. I want to confirm so, because we can say, Trevor, we will be this and this, but how will you be this? You will be this so long as you've worked very hard and you've delivered for the coalition. So our coalition is based on scientific calculations, such that we know for us to get this government into our hands, certain percentage of numbers of voters must be delivered in certain regions. And so we are very confident. We are working extremely hard to make sure that we deliver.
Is there a clause that if you don't get the 70%, then the deal is off the table, or will it still hold?
You see, Trevor, it's as I said earlier, it's not about, there's nothing that is pegged on this or that. But we are saying, how would we in the first place even get into government if we don't get these percentages as calculated? We have looked at arithmetic. We have looked at Mount Kenya region and the number of votes there. We've looked at the coast region. We've looked at Western. We've looked at Rift Valley. So there is no way in the first place we would even form government until we first achieve these calculations. And again, it's not an issue of this party being left alone now and say, okay, and see, and for Kenya, we've signed them Kataba, you guys go and deliver. It is teamwork, and that is why you see all our principals work together, looking for votes, crisscrossing this country, because it's not about the individual or rather the constituent parties working alone or in isolation of the other members of the coalition.
Yeah.
It's a team effort.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
so
Simon.
we win together, we work hard together, and we form government together, and obviously we serve Kenyans together as a coalition under the leadership of His Excellency William Ruto and Musalia Mudavadi and the other principals.
All right. Thanks, Simon. Simon Gikuru, there is the Secretary General, ANC, joining us on phone. I know he has to run for another meeting. Thank you so much for speaking to us. You are finishing your closing remarks saying that election is a science.
Trevor, you can see Simon speaking to science and to figures. And according to him, he signed the agreement. And therefore, this is not academic. This is the truth.
Yeah.
What the coalition, what the Kenya Kwanza coalition has put forth is a framework that they believe would win the election.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's a good thing that the Azimio coalition now knows what framework is on the table for other players.
Yeah.
And it is a good opportunity for Raila Amolo Odinga to craft something that we will know when the instruments, I'm sure there is a second agreement amongst the players.
Power sharing
arrangements.
Yeah.
We need not know, but I'm sure he has a better framework.
Okay.
And that is why I can assure you that Azimio will carry the day.
Right.
But lastly, let me say this. That there's a lot of concern about intra-party or intra-coalition fights.
Yeah.
And support across coalitions, where one coalition member, in this case Mutua and Kingi, then move to the next coalition and support that coalition whilst retaining their foot legally in the other coalition.
Yeah.
The law should have dealt with that.
Okay.
Because there's no punishment. I think the Political Parties Amendment 2021 forgot to look at sanctions.
Yeah.
It only allows parties to go to court and to challenge. That in this case they went to PPDT, the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, which under Section 40 allows parties to go in and raise those questions.
Yeah.
But that does not provide a solution, because the Constitution is still there. And I think that the law should have allowed parties to opt out, so that we see a lot of run-ins, and then we can also then go and look for Mudavadi and Wetangula, and then we pick and we have them back. There's a new coalition.
Okay. Manzo, closing remarks on what Matiang'i said, that only positions almost 40% are money laundering.
Yes, that's why you have this subheading in the Standard saying, Honorable Raila Odinga said, I will jail looters within 100 days. Most really I think it's a bit of editing. It is you will prosecute looters, because the jailing thing is done by the courts. And I think we have a lot of criminals running for seats. In fact, some of them very well-known criminals. They are pending matters, but you can only be convicted and exhaust your mechanisms of appeal to be declared a criminal. So it is true, Kenyans should watch out. Anybody who is a looter, anybody who is not out to serve Kenyans and has stolen, from government coffers, and is using the same money to run, or has stolen elsewhere, or is dealing in illegal things like drugs and things like that, and uses the money. Because in election, money is a big thing.
Yeah.
When you go to the electorate, whether you like it or not, and that's where the corruption begins.
Okay.
In one way or another, you must part with the money. And I think we will only change this and be like other parts of the world when we avoid that corruption at the number. Now, I want to respond to some of the comments I've heard there.
Very briefly.
Yes, the truth of the matter is that the Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, other than the Kamba Nation, has a following of up to 3 million votes. You see, you can be at your region, and you are able to get following from people who are not from your region. And I think that's a very big strength for him. In central Kenya, how you test is what people are likely to be elected into parliament. Because then if you don't have chances of people elected to parliament, then you have a problem. And every time you go to campaign in central Kenya, and I've been there severally, you are drowned with the shouts of UDA, UDA. And the truth of the matter is the much Azimio Oka can get from central Kenya is maximum 900,000 votes. You can't get into 1 million. And that's a reality. For now, anybody who is in politics knows that. And therefore, the best bet, without coercing anyone, and just be reasonable. The best bet is Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, then Raila Odinga.
All right. We have to leave it there, gentlemen. Professor Tom Ojenda, Senior Counsel and Kisumu Senator Aspirant, Dan Manzo, Makueni Member of Parliament and Senate Aspirant for Makueni, Bobby Mkangi, Constitutional Lawyer, Sam Gikuru, NC Secretary General, those joining us on phone earlier on. Apologies from Kimani Wamatangi, Senator for Kiambu, and also Kiambu Governor Aspirant. He mentioned that he couldn't make it on time. He'll show up next week. Now we're taking a quick break. When you come back, it's time for cooking tips, all right? See you in just a bit.